So in this challenge, we are talking about innovations. Yeah? You guys will be given a challenge, and each group will need to address the challenge given, and we hope that you will also come up with an innovative solutions. Okay? So therefore, before we go into the mini challenge, we will share with you some of the ingredients for you to be able to address the challenge given tomorrow, or even tonight and also tomorrow, the real challenge. Okay? So what we are talking tonight, number one, will be about innovations process. Okay? And this is what we call theory U. Okay? That's number one. Number two, the second component that you also need to learn is about business plan. How to create business plan. Okay? And marketing stuff. And the third component that we will share with you is about elevator pitch. Elevator pitch talks about how to sell your idea in 3 minutes. Okay? This is a very familiar terminology used in Silicon Valley. And in Silicon Valley, there are many startups companies, and there are many investors as well. But in many cases, the time that you will interact with your potential investor, it's only 3 minutes. They don't have much time to listen to your concept. So there are some techniques how to sell your idea in 3 minutes. Okay? So we will learn as well some of the technique of the elevator pitch, and you will also practice it tonight. Okay? So these are the 3 agendas that we have for this evening, and then we will enter to the mini challenge. Sounds good? Yeah. Can everyone hear my voice at the back? Yes? Yes. Okay, cool. So, the first one, innovations process. Okay. So, I would like to introduce to you a model. Yeah? So, whenever you hear a challenge, right, I will introduce you this model. Okay? This is what I call iceberg model. Do you know what the iceberg is? Yes. What's an iceberg? What is an iceberg? A chunk of ice that floats on the sea. Seawater. That's very good. I asked the same questions to many adults, and many of them answer me, oh, it's a mountain in the middle of the sea that's covered with ice. That's what I thought as well, but it's not true. You're right. So applause to you. So you know the characteristic of the iceberg? Yes. What? Floating. Floating, and only 1/4 of its mass is above the sea, the water, the sea level. Okay? So this one is visible, this one is invisible because underneath. Okay? That reflects as well to what we see every day. Okay? The one that is visible, we call it as event. Things that we see. Example, traffic is an event. Flood is an event. Okay? Things that we see. What else? Sorry?
Drought.
What?
Drought.
Drought, yes, is an event. The question is, what create the event? So now we are going to see the invisible. We try to see the unseen. That's what innovators is all about, right? Innovators' job is to imagine what haven't been created before, right? if I'm telling you 10 years ago that I'm about to create a mobile phone without keypad, people will laugh at me. You're crazy. But look, it becomes reality, right? So a true science for innovations is imaginations, right? A true innovator has the ability to look at the ordinary but see the extraordinary. Are you with me?
Yes.
Okay. So what does it mean to look at the ordinary but see the extraordinary? Means the extraordinary is something that is underneath, that is invisible for most of the people. And that's what the cutting edge is in products or services. Okay? So what do you think that create an event? What do you think that create traffic? Problems? We call it patterns of behavior. Okay? Because we have certain behavior, certain patterns of behavior. People go out from each houses 6 a.m. in the morning and rushing through the streets. That's what causes the traffic, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Right? People throwing trash to the river and cause cluttered. That's what caused the flood. So because of certain behavior that we all have, the event is created. So whenever you are facing a challenge, either tonight or also tomorrow, iceberg model is the fundamental concept that you must have in mind. Okay? So try to practice, look at the ordinary, but see the extraordinary. Okay? So what do you think now that created the patterns of behavior?
Nature.
Nature?
Civilization.
No. Civilizations, what do you mean by civilizations?
I mean, like how people do it usually every day. Their yes, habits and everything.
This is it, right?
Environment.
Exactly. But what influenced your behavior?
Mindset.
Environment, what do you mean by environment?
The surrounding or surrounding everything.
So what you said by environments, we call it system structure. Okay? So, I'll give you an example. Okay? If you go on the toll road, right? Jakartans, I mean all of us knows, right? You go to the toll road. And if you enter the toll road, you will have to pass the gates, isn't it?
Yes.
And then you have to pay. Correct? So imagine if there are 10 cars, 10 drivers in front of you, and they pay the toll road, they will receive a piece of paper, isn't it? A receipt.
Yes.
From the 10 drivers in front of you, how many drivers you think will throw that piece of paper on the street?
10.
All 10 of them?
Yes.
Thank you for your honesty. You are truly Indonesian. Right? But if I transfer all those 10 drivers to Singapore, will they do the same?
No.
Why? It's the same drivers.
Different system.
Exactly, because Singapore is a fine city. Right? You chew gum, you got fined $500. You spit, you got fined $500. You see? Then suddenly you will see a different kind of behavior and different kind of events, because the system structure is different. You see? So if you wish to create innovations, if you wish to create change in certain situations, this is your intervention as innovators. You need to investigate the system structure. Later on, I will show you some examples. Okay? So, the action at this level, we call it reacting. 100%, we all know how to react, even kids, right?
Yes.
This is the Newton's law of physics, right?
Yes.
When there is a what? Action, there is a reaction. Exactly. You guys are good students. So this is reacting. This is, we call it reframing. Okay? And this is redesigning. Okay? If you are operating at this level, there are only two activities, we call it. Either you fight or you flight. Means you run away. You keep on reacting or you just run away. Okay? This is what we call reacting. At this level, we call it adaptive. Like the flood, right? At first, people will perceive the flood as a threat. But since the flood keep coming back every January and February, what do people do? They raise their house. They even create a dam before their house. They see the flood from a different perspective nowadays. That's what we call adaptive. But we're not addressing the root cause, we call it, the fundamental cause. Okay? Look at the traffic. What does the government of Jakarta do?
Busway.
Busway is one of the way, but sadly, they build more roads. That's only addressing the symptoms of the problem. Okay? So in the change process principle, you are still not addressing the root cause. You're just addressing the symptoms. Okay? So if you wish to create change, if you wish to create a product that brings change into the situations, you must investigate the system structure. Okay? Are we cool? Are you following me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So, with that, if you wish, I need more papers. That's my weakness. So, guys, when you are trying to become an entrepreneur, okay, what do entrepreneurs do? What? Change? No. Exactly. What is business?
Profit.
Anyone knows what business is?
Profit. Trading.
Business is not about profit.
It's about trading.
Exactly. Business is about exchanging goods and services. Okay? So when you talk about goods, you talk about products. But you can also offer a service. Right? Profit is an indicator of the growth of your business. Okay? But if you understand the philosophy of business, back in the days, if you imagine that we are still living in the Stone Age, like the caveman, right? Imagine the caveman. All the man's job at that time is hunting, isn't it?
Okay.
And when they go out from their cave, they usually go out for days. And because of that, they need food and they need water, right?
Yes.
So, in most of the times, those days, they find it very difficult to get water. Until one person thought, hey, he saw a tree, and then from the tree trunk, he created a cup. for himself. Not only it's easier for him to get the water, but he can carry the water wherever he goes. And the other person says, yes, that's a very cool stuff. Can you also make it for me? Then he create another one. And another people saw what they are using. Hey, can you also make another one? Then he did, from hunters, he become crafters. He becomes creating more cups. And because of that, he trades for his service. You see, that's the philosophy of business. It's about adding value to society. It's not about profit. Henry Ford, you know who he is?
Yes.
You use some of the cars, right? Yes. Ford. Was he creating cars because he wants to be rich?
No.
No, he was trying to help his mother-in-law so that the mother can travel to other city with ease. You see? So business is not about profit. But because you are doing a good business, you can start grow your business because you are making profit. Yes, I have to agree that business without profit is nothing. That means it's not growing.
Yes.
Okay? But let's try not to put profit at the center of your focus. Okay? So now is the shift because of the social media technology. What's really important now is not about a product itself, but it's about customer needs and wants. Okay? Because in 21st century, if you are creating a mouse trap, okay? Somebody take a picture of your product, tweet it. A week later in China, somebody else is creating even a better mouse trap than you are. You see? So it's not about the product, but it's about addressing customer needs and wants. Are you with me?
Yes.
Okay? So the power is at the market now. It's not about the product. So you as an entrepreneur, you need to be able to understand and see the customer needs and wants. And if we talk about customer needs and wants, do you guys know about Maslow needs hierarchy? Do you guys know that? Yeah? And can you help me on that? What's the bottom line?
I forget, it's about something we love and then
Yes, that's very good. So if you imagine a pyramid, yeah, the bottom layer talks about psychological needs, food, physiological. Can you explain? Please come forward. Help me out. Maslow hierarchy. Come on.
Can I just say this?
No, you can't. You need to come forward. Thank you, guys. So help me out. What's the bottom? Okay. Biological needs, like when you are thirsty, when you are hungry, when you need basic needs, those are biological needs. Okay, what's the next one? Let's check on the floor. What's the next one? Do you know? After you, let's imagine you guys are stranded on an island by yourself. What would you do first? You will. It's a survival sequence, isn't it?
Yes.
First of all, you need to find source of food, source of water. That's biological needs. After you meet those needs, what's next? Exactly. That means what is it? Safety, isn't it? After you build your hut, you feel safe. What's next? You will start to look for someone. Is there anyone in this island? Right? Your social needs, right? Love, right?
Yeah.
Then after that, after you find someone, then you start to feel good. That's what we call self-esteem. Right? You feel good about it. Until at the top, we call it self-actualize. See, a great leader are those people who already reached the self-actualize. Therefore, you have Gandhi. Gandhi does not wear Gucci or whatever it is. He only wears a sarong or whatever, he's an old guy. But wherever he goes, people respect him. See, he's already self-actualized. He is what he is. He is who he is. You see? So, when you talk about needs and wants, you need to understand about this as well. Okay? Are you with me? Okay. So if you look at advertising, this is what they use. The lower you address the needs, the stronger the drive for buying things. That's what they do. They are using this Maslow of hierarchy. The lower it is, the stronger the drive for you to buy things. Okay? Look at the advertising of Rolex, the watch. How do they advertise their product? By using champions, isn't it? Roger Federer, Tiger Woods, whoever they are, right? Why? Because once people buy Rolex, then they feel like their self-esteem is met. Running out of time. Okay? So, are we cool? So, if you, again, investigate on a product or service that you wish to create, please be mindful of addressing the needs and wants. And there are differences. There is differences between needs and wants.
Yes.
Right? Needs are unconscious. Wants is conscious. Okay? Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay? So, let me go back to this iceberg. Are you clear with this?
Yes.
Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. This will also make sense?
Yes.
Now I would like to share with you about the process for innovations. This is what we call the U process. Okay? So, once you are given the challenge, you as a group, okay, what you need to do is identify the common ground. Co-initiating. Okay? Means you need to really understand what the issue is. Okay? Like flood. What is the issue? What is the underneath, the unseen? When you talk about flood. Exactly. Right? It's about certain behavior. Right? So understand and focus. Look, you cannot change the world in one day. Okay? So when you are given the challenge may be very broad. Okay? And try not to be too ambitious to change the whole thing in one day. Focus on certain things because you know it will change eventually the whole thing. Okay? So identify the common ground. What is it? One point, one focus point. Okay? Second one, we call it co-sensing. Investigate the needs and wants. Learn from the field and the field and not trying to assume. right? And there is a danger of the word assume. You know what assume, right? When you assume, eventually it becomes an as of you and me. So don't assume, okay? Then identify the needs and wants. Okay? Then you go prototyping. When you and your group comes up with an idea, do not discuss it too much. When someone comes up with an idea, you play it out. Try it out. Because 75% of innovations did not born out of the meeting room. 75% of innovations came out not from the meeting room. They came out from cafe, they came out from something that is playful. You see? When you start to bring a fresh idea into a discussions room, it will die. Okay? So the best way is to test your idea so that you can get a quick feedback and refine your idea. Okay? So when you come up with an idea, hey, let's do this. Okay, how does it look like? Okay? And the recipe for innovations process, don't use the word but. This is a no-no in innovations process. Don't say but. Instead of saying but, use this. And then? And then, when someone, hey, let's come up with this. And then? Instead of saying but, because when you say but, you actually already kill the idea. Okay? So that's a practice that we want you to have as well. Okay? Then, model it. Build it. Create. Build. Show your idea, show your model. Yeah. So, any questions?
No.
No? Yes.
In theory U, does we discuss the innovation or not?
What do you
discuss like you say not discuss it in the meeting room first? Does we need to discuss it or?
Yes, of course you discuss it, but not in a very formal way. You know, of course you discuss it. Otherwise, how do you build ideas upon ideas, right? Of course you discuss it, but as you play it out, you discuss it. How does it feel? What is still missing? What can we refine from the idea? So that sort of discussions, instead of like bringing it to the meeting room. You know what I mean? So that's a different style of discussions. Of course you discuss. Great questions. Awesome. So I would like to share some example of how the theory U, or the U process we call it, being used. Okay? Yes?
But not all ideas can be, tried out. Like sometimes you have ideas, but not something you can really apply it. Like.
All ideas should be able to be applied. Yes. Okay? Because if it's cannot be crystallized or cannot be tangibilized, I call it, then the idea is too airy-fairy, I call it. It's too high up in the air. You see? So when you start designing your product, okay, start with this, the 3 circle. This is what the cutting edge of innovations is. Start with desire of the people. Again, I talk about needs and wants. Start here. Okay? Then you check on the technology. Is it feasible? Does the technology is already there to support your idea? Okay? You check here. Then you check on the money. Whether it's viable, we call it. Is it within the budget? Is it too costly for you to create your idea? Okay? So this is what we call the innovations area. This is what you want. Create this. Okay? It meets the people needs and wants. Is technologically feasible and financially viable. Okay? Any more questions before I show you a video? Yes, you're raising your hand. No. Yes.
What if we have a great idea but we don't have the money yet for establishing our idea?
Then you need to find investor.
How can we assure the investor to give money to us?
That goes back to the quality of how you sell your idea. You see? How can you best present your idea as such that people is interested to what you propose? Right? Any more questions? Yes.
But if you're using your other language, the investors know that you're using it.
Using what?
Like,
Tricks? It's not tricks. It's a technique, I call it. Tricks, and you put like hypnotize. Give me your money. That's tricks, right? That's more to negative kind of things. But this is a technique. And in whatever we do, we need some techniques because that shows some skills. Okay? Knowledge is only good for yourself, but skills is the ability for us to serve others. So knowledge is inward, skills is outward. And when you talk about skills, we talk about techniques, not tricks. Yes, Ben, thank you so much. Loud and clear, okay? Okay, so let me show you some example, okay? So this is the two sources of learning. So in innovations, we use the second one, learning from the future. Okay? Imagine what the future that you wish to see and then bring it to the present. We call it learning from the future. Okay? That's what the U process is all about. Okay? So let me show you a video. So the issue or the challenge is about littering in the park. Okay? That's the challenge. Littering in the park. So guys, in every innovations process, what you need to do is a guiding questions. Okay? Don't quickly come up with the solutions. Okay? Try to challenge yourself with some guiding questions that lead you to investigate where is the innovations area that you need to explore. Are you with me?
Yes.
Okay. So this video will show you some of the initiative built by Volkswagen, okay, and the issue is about littering in the park. So they try to reduce the number of littering in the park and make it fun to do. Maybe some of you have watched this. That's very cool. Any questions? This is the deepest trash bin in the world.
sorry.
Yes.
But we really just increase the amount that are thrown away. I mean, but people just choose to trust it to have fun, but not really. They don't really need to throw the trust away, but they're just throwing the trust just to play with the trust pitch. See what I did?
I don't think I understand.
I think like, jadi orang ngomong sampah cuma buat kesenangan, jadi mereka harus buang sampah, tapi buat itu malah bikin orang buang sampah terus. Ya itu kayak gitu.
That's the whole idea, isn't it?
Sama aja.
Kayak orang sengaja bikin sampah.
Iya.
We all produce waste every day.
Tapi sengaja kayak.
What do you mean by sengaja?
Kayak misalnya.
Kayak nambah pemasukan sampah.
Sampah, once it's sampah is sampah, and sampah needs to be thrown into the trash bin, so it can be processed responsibly. That's a very disturbed mind. Throughput is not sampah, so you need to understand your definition of sampah. Again, this is what we are talking about, a mature society. Okay? A mature society knows exactly what's the definitions of waste that's not a waste. That's why I call vandalism. Okay? And that's not good. Okay? So, you see how they create change by the system structure? And then change the behavior, and then change the event. You see? Another example.
Simply put, business plan is something that someone who wants to start a business, they make an innovation, right? So Mr. Franz has already explained about the innovation process, right? So after we innovate, after we create the product itself, we need to think, how can we structure the innovation itself? How can we approach investors and say, we have a business plan that you need to invest in. So what this means is that a product or a service will be a waste if there is no structure in it. So the business plan itself will structure the innovation process itself. So starting from the business plan. On the explanation by Mr. Franz, we learned about problem identification, right? So before we can make sure what products or services we have to make, we need to identify the core issue itself, right? So with identifying the core issue, we know what the wants and the needs, right? So the first thing that business plan structures is what we call executive summary. It consists of the first thing I said, problem identification. So I'm pretty sure that every group that will be given the issues will have different perspectives on the issue itself. So it is very important to put a stance of your group. Where do you stand upon this issue? So every group will have a different perspective in the issues given, right? So first we need to do the problem identification. After you identify the products, identify the problems, you can analyze what is really needed to tackle the issue, right? So what is needed to tackle the issue, and it is in the form of a product or a service, right? So the solution itself in the mini challenge is in the form of a product or service. So here you must describe the solution in the form of product or service. Are you guys following me? Yes. Okay. After the proposed solution, you need to describe more about your product or service. So what can it do to tackle the problems, and what are the features of the products or services itself? So that's all. Just a brief description of the product or service. Are you following me? Okay. Now, the second part of the business plan is what we call the market analysis. So, after we determine what are the needs of the issue itself, we need to analyze the market. You know that if an idea comes up to make a product, but we cannot sell it to the market, it's useless, right?
Yes.
So we need to analyze the market. First, after we know what products we need to make, or we want to make, we need to make a target market. Who knows what a target market is? Market segment, right?
To whom you want to sell the product or the
Okay.
service.
So target market is who will you sell the products to? So you need to identify the market itself. Will your products be right in this type of market? For example, if I am a person who is trying to sell shavers, like shavers for beards and stuff, will it be appropriate for me to sell it in the category of children? No. So that's wrong, right? So you need to identify who your customers are, whether it be segmentation of people, meaning from age groups, or maybe gender, demographics, something like that. Or in forms of corporations. So let's say you want to sell a product into an industry, like a manufacturing industry, or something like an oil and gas company, something like that. So it can be in the form of people, or in the form of industries or companies. the target markets. And the second thing you need to notice is about how will you distribute the products or the services. So how will you perform? How will the products or services perform in front of the customers? Will it be placed in store? Will it be directly sold to the customers, potential customers? Or how will you deliver it in a form of sales? So how will you deliver the products or services itself? Right? And the third thing is you need to determine the competitive advantage of the product or services. So here we will have to also determine what adds value of the product to the society or the customers. So what differentiates our products with other products that are similar? You get me?
Yes.
So we need to list down what makes the product or services unique, or what makes it something that a customer wants to buy. Okay. And the last part is the financial plan. So after we know what we want to make, after we know where we have to market the products or services, we need to make is it money viable? Is it financially viable? So we need to make the financial plan. So the first thing is we need to determine the cost of production or the cost of the startup of the product itself, right? So how much money do we need in order for us to make the product itself, right? So first thing is startup cost or production cost. So how much do we actually need to produce these kind of products or services that you want to make? So startup cost consists of cost of production. So with just simple research, you can find prices of the elements that will be measured into your products. So you understand about the cost of production?
Yes.
So what will be needed in order to make the product itself, right? Then you can count it, you can research how much it costs, and you can get how much you can make for a certain product. So 1 unit of product A is made from how much, blah, 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 something like that. You understand?
Yes.
Okay. Startup cost. After we know what the startup cost is, we need to project the sales, right? Our initial, what do we think, how will it perform in the market? How much will it sell in the market, right? So we need to make the projected income, right? So after we know the startup cost, we need to know how much the margin, right? The margin between the cost of the production itself and how much we want to sell the product, right? So there's margin for profit. Yes? So the first thing is sales. Sales consists of the cost of sales, right? How much we want to sell, the product into the market. So harga jualnya, or selling price, times units. So in this projected income, you want to think forward how much or how many units of products you intend to sell in the first year, for example. Then you need to count the cost of products or the cost of sales if it's a service. So if it's a product, you need to count how much does it cost, right? So with the subtraction of sales the cost of products, we get the profit, right? So we minus that, we get the gross profit of the product. So after being that, we can know how much does the company needs to produce the products, and then what is the projected income that will attract investors. So, for example, if your company or your group wants to attract investors, we need to make the right cost of production, right? Is it feasible enough? Is the money feasible enough? Is it too expensive or not? This will determine how much your company needs in order for you to produce the products or sales services, right? And then here we can know about how much you will earn through the sales. Whether you will project, if it's the first year, it will be a loss, will be a profit. That depends on your analysis on the market, right? So it's like this. The financial plan consists of the startup cost, the cost of production itself, and the projected income. How much you intend to make during the projected year, something like that. You want to ask or something you don't understand, but business plan. You all guys understand? Your faces are like
Understand. It's okay.
Understand.
do you understand from the first? So let us review. From the first plan. So first part of the business plan, executive summary. Anyone wants to ask a question about that?
But we need to include vision and mission there.
Yeah.
Vision. Yeah. So if you want, you can include your vision and mission of your company, right, in the executive summary. But I broke it down just for this mini challenge. So you can put it here if you want. Anything else? So you understand about this? Executive summary. Next, about the market analysis. So we need to target who do we want to sell these products to, how can we distribute the products, how do we distribute it, and what is the competitive advantage of your products, right? How the products differentiate to others. Any questions?
Does this have to do with this? Does the market analysis have something to do with the SWOT analysis?
SWOT analysis? Yes. So in the SWOT analysis, you will determine the SWOT of your products, right? SWOT analysis, strength, opportunity, and threat. Right? But just to make it simple for this mini challenge, just what makes your products something of a competitive advantage in your market? So the strength of your product itself.
So what part does it come in the business plan? So what part of the SWOT analysis comes in the business?
It actually comes as part of competitive advantage can be determined by the SWOT analysis. So before you can determine the competitive advantage, you can write down, or you can determine first what are the SWOT analysis of your products. So if you don't know about the SWOT analysis, just make what is the competitive advantage of your products or services. Something like that. Anything else? Okay. Next, about the financial plan. So first we need to know about the startup cost, right? How much does it take to make the product itself, right? Cost of production. And next, about the projected income. So what are your future evaluations of the products? Will it do good in the market? Will it go bad, and why? Just make a projected income. So it consists of sales, which is the selling price, times how many units you intend to sell on the first year, and the cost of products, meaning here, right? So how much of the how many units are sold times the cost of products or cost of production, and you subtract these and you get the gross profit.
In the business plan, do we plan the marketing, like how are we going to attract people out of that, and also how do we distribute, like through what companies or stuff like that?
I described it here, right? So you asked about, sorry, the first one?
Marketing.
marketing yet, the target market, right? So
Like how? Not just who, but how.
yeah, you can put it right here. Like, who do you want? What kind of people do you want to buy your products, right? And for how you will market it, you can add it in the target market. In the distribution is how you deliver your products to the customers, right? So you can describe it here.
Yeah, I think that promotions elements goes into certain points like target market and also competitive advantage. So we can use it as well as
So
marketing.
this is not a fixed structure, so
Yeah.
you can be creative.
Yeah.
If you want to add something to this, feel free to do it. So this is just a basic structure, a condensed structure of the business plan itself. So if you want anything to add, just add it. Feel free.
For the financial, if you want to build a new company for bringing progress and to our company, if we want to advertise our products and we put it in the sales, I mean the price to advertise it, and it will make loss in first or second year and profit in the third or next year. Is it a problem to the investor or?
So that's a great question, but I think it's a bit technical. Okay, so may I suggest that we now move into the mini challenge, right? And along the way, you have the seniors, the alumni, to support you in the process. Okay? Yeah? Alumni, or Adele, you are right? Adele, everybody. So once we are entering the mini challenge, then as you go to the process, then they can also support you with some of the technical assistance. Okay? In creating the business plan. Okay?
You want to start with the elevator pitch?
Yeah, look, the elevator pitch. First and most important things of all, you need to show confidence as you are presenting your idea. Confidence is very important. Number two, speak up and use efficient and effective words. Do not going around the block 7 times before you come up with the point that you want to tell to your investors. Okay? Number 3, be enthusiastic of your own idea. If you present it like, yeah, we have a product like this, right? If you're not even enthusiastic about your own product, how can people interested in your product? Okay? So you need to speak, from what I said, from a belief level. You need to believe in your own product, so that people will start also believing in your product. Okay? Number 4, be creative. Okay? So usually, how we structure it, in 3 minutes, the first minute, usually it's much more effective if you post the questions like, have you ever considered why flood is still coming back every January and February? Are you upset with that? Will you wish to see no more floods every year? So that's sort of, that gain interest from the people.
So can we use the technique of persuasive speech?
You can use whatever technique. Okay? So you need to persuade me later on with your pitch and see how it works. Okay? So usually the first minute you pose the questions, right? Then you state the challenge, the issue. Then the second minute you start to discuss the technical about your product. And the third minute you present how do you want them to attract, to invest in your product. So that's usually how we structure it. Make sense? Yeah, makes sense? Yeah. Okay, so with that, I think it's about time for us to give you the mini challenge. So
wait, is it a maximum 3 minutes or just approximately 3 minutes?
Maximum 3 minutes.
We'll cut you out. We'll
Yes.
turn off your microphone.
Okay. So we will cut you in 3 minutes precisely whether or not you are done with your presentation. So practice, practice, practice. Okay?
Before that,
Yes.
Thank you. Before I move on, I think we should give a big
Yeah,
clap.
who's
Yeah.
Whoosh.
Thank